My name is Dan Good, and the name of this piece is Water. I worked on a bunch of pieces that were similar in construction to this, but were completely abstract before I started working on the set of pieces that this came out of. And after I had sort of gotten a vocabulary of what I could do with it, I said I wanted to have something inspired by nature and the seasons and things that changed and moved. So I built a set of pieces around the elements, and there are also air and fire and earth to go along with water, but you got water. When I was working on this form, I spent a long time thinking about it. I mean, it looks pretty simple, but that's because I spent a long time thinking about it. And I realized at one point that I was going to have to figure out what to do with the ends of the piece. It's a line, and it goes around, and the line has an end, and what do I do with that? And eventually I realized that if I just made it into a loop, then there would be no ends, and that question would just disappear. So I liked that answer, and I stuck with it. I use pretty straightforward construction materials. This is plywood from the plywood and lumber store. I tend to like to work with things that come in sheets that I can cut up into rectangles and put together however I like, or whatever shape. So this is plywood. I think I got it at a store in Berkeley. I also like working with sheets of steel. I do some similar things with those, only steel is a little bit more flexible in what I can do.
My name is Elizabeth Jimenez Montelongo, and this is my piece called Changing Identity. This piece was inspired by an original sculpture found in Mexico that was made by the indigenous people of the area. And the original sculpture that I saw was a woman grinding corn. So I made my sculpture based on that idea. And in my sculpture I added a bit of symbolism and things from my own experience to stand for the remaking of choosing from the values of what you're exposed to recreate your life and your values and what you believe in. So it's about the process of creating and reshaping your life and the ideas that you live by. And some of it is also about my my Mexican background, because for my life experience, some of it was from American culture, from being raised in the United States, and some of my culture came from my parents and their Mexican values and customs. And then I also study Native American ideas, not artwork specifically, but a lot of Native American cultures and their ideas and their worldview. So that also plays into symbolism I use in my pieces, particularly in this one. Changing Identity is one of my earlier sculptures that I've worked on. I've worked in ceramics and a lot of mixed media. I've also recently started working on paper mache sculptures, and I'm also a painter, so I also make oil paintings that are based on indigenous Mexican dancers, and mixed media pieces regarding my identity and also Native American ideas and how I relate to them. Alright, this sculpture, Changing Identity, is a ceramic piece. So I built it out of clay, which was also for the reason that the original sculpture that inspired it was made out of clay, and I wanted to use something that came from the earth that's really natural. And that it's also, ceramics are really symbolic because it's earth, and then it goes through the process of being fired, so it also incorporates the element of fire into it. So I do enjoy working with ceramics, and that is why I chose clay for the media for this sculpture.
My name is Peter Langenbeck. The name of the piece is the C'est Bon Pensée Temps, which is This Is My Hobby, and it's homage to Marcel Duchamp. It's Rose C'est la Vie. Marcel Duchamp is my hero, my idol. He brought in Dada art, and which opened up the whole field of art to me, what I do. Everything is recycled, believe it or not. It's wood, and I'm a wood carver, but everything from the face, which is a 4x4 fence post, cut down so all the bad parts are no longer there, and the arms and legs are from a decking. This puppy right here, this little horse, that was my hobby horse when I was 4 or 5 years old. And in front of my house, we have this incline, and I was scooting down that incline, and it bucked me off and broke my collarbone. I still have it. It tortured me, I torture it. It's very detailed. Like I said, I'm a wood carver, and I love to carve. I carve two sizes. I carve life size, full body, this kind, and I also carve miniatures. Actually, at one time I carved pipes too, actual smoking pipes, where that was detailed because they were very intricate figures. I did the entire Charles and Diana wedding party on one pipe. It had 8 figures around the pipe, and it was actually functional smoking pipe.
My name is Rosa Cazares Gillen, and the name of my piece is Before and After the End. The title, Before and After the End, was inspired by the Mayan calendar. Some believed that December 2012 was the end, but it didn't happen, obviously, because we're still here. So my story is before and after the end. I start with a symbol that represents my birthday in the Mayan calendar and certain events of my life that goes all the way around the center band. My biggest inspiration is Mayan art. Mayan and Aztec art is very, very obvious in my work. I have 3 sculptures that are showing, and they all have features that tie them together. So a lot of these symbols and decorations and carvings are really inspired by a lot of the clay work that I've studied. I've studied a lot of Mayan work. Also, stone carvings are very inspiring to me. So there isn't anything here that I can claim is really original. There's a little bit of everything that I've noticed, and I've combined them into one piece. This is really, at this point, it's my latest piece, and it shows many, many years of study. So Mayan and Aztec symbolism is all over this. The materials I tend to use are clay. I am a clay artist. I love the Long Beach blend. It's my favorite piece or material because as my sculptures get bigger and bigger, it's the one clay I can depend that won't fall apart, and it gets heavier and heavier, especially in this case with the headdress. It was a separate piece that I built separately and then added onto the top of this sculpture. I love clay. I think it's the best material to work with. My carvings, they're forgiving. Clay is also very forgiving. If I do a mistake, if there's something that I want to redo, it's easy to blend in and start all over. And my clay work is so clean and my carvings are so precise that, again, it's the best material for what I want to do. Absolutely.
Mine told me about a childhood dream she had where there was this tiny little old-time wind-up clock that was running down the hallway chasing her and clicking and clacking, and that always kind of stuck with me, the imagination of that and just kind of the scary part of it. So that's kind of what gave me the idea to do this piece. I tend to always work in some sort of a basic box, so like a shadow box type thing, and I do a lot of like fairy tale kind of themes and imagery, a little bit on the dark side, but I do tend to always work inside of a box shape. Yeah, almost always I use either old broken down stuff or recycled stuff, a lot of collage in the background from kind of vintage books and music sheets, and it's almost always really old stuff. And usually damaged, because I don't like to work with stuff that's brand new, because I don't want to like destroy it if it's something that's already nice. So I'm always looking for stuff that is really interesting and cool, but is like broken or just not going to do what it was intended to do anymore. I draw inspiration from other people. I do a lot of bopping around on the web looking at other assemblage artists. But some of my best inspirations come from just looking at old things. Like I go to estate sales and antique stores and flea markets, even like on the beach, like looking around just at beach debris that washes up. I'll just see something that to me looks like it needs to become something else. And those I think are some of my better pieces. So oftentimes the objects themselves are kind of what give me the idea to just build off.